So I was hoping we could get at least like one other guy because, and you're lucky that you're a part of this right now. This is the unofficial Whiskey Noobs Christmas party.
Hey.
Is what I've deemed this episode. I'm not like this is gonna be more fun than anything else. Honestly, we're gonna see about pairing whiskeys with Christmas cookies, which is why you have Christmas cookies in front of you. These were not made with love. These were bought at Walmart. So I'm sorry.
Mouth is watering.
Yeah, I mean, it
I'm
looks...
staring down at Johnny and 4 cookies.
I got the Johnny specifically for you because I was like, you're going to... I mean, I'm having Zach on. We should have Johnny Black. So for those listening, this is Zach that I'm talking to.
Back again.
What was your last episode? It was pretty recent. It was...
the verses.
The verses.
The blind tasting.
What did we blind, though?
Oh my!
Oh, the 2 Green Rivers.
Yeah,
that were
Green
the same.
Rivers. Yes,
yes, that's right. So yeah,
I've been meaning to buy one too.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
They're so good.
That Green River, the weeded one specifically. It's in. I'm doing a bracket on TikTok right now, and it's dominating. It's
I would bet.
I love it. I can't wait. I hope it wins. I don't know. We'll see. But
I'm gonna have to start getting sponsors if I'm coming on this month.
Right?
Be like, Zach is back. Brought to you by.
Yeah, Zach is in this episode. Brought to you by Zyn. No, I'm kidding. Have you seen the Tucker Carlson Zyn stuff? It's the funniest.
He's so good at doing the ad for him. The unofficial ad.
That's not meant to be political at all. It's just his motivational speech about Zyn is the funniest thing. So that's what my TikTok For You page looks like for anybody wondering. You got 3 glasses in front of you. And you got 4 bottles because I wasn't sure if we'll get to all 4 because like we got to drink like tiny amounts.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to leave it in the glass if once we get the tasting done. So we're really throwing everything at it here to see what tastes good with these Christmas cookies. I have a few different thoughts. So yeah, the Johnny Black, that's going to be last because it has that smoky flavor and I don't want it to ruin our palates.
But it's also still creamy. So I'm thinking like smoky, creamy cookies.
I feel like it might be pretty awesome. Yeah, I truly do. That's why we got multiple very different things. So this you get to try and nobody else, it hasn't, at least as of the recording of this, it hasn't made it to people yet. It's still shipping. The barrel pick that just came out.
Yep.
So we're going to try that because I had it in my episode that just came out about the best Christmas whiskeys. So was Angel's Envy. And then I wanted 2 things that are like your average person might just have them. Like you could see them if you're at a get together. And that's Knob Creek and Johnny Walker Black.
And those 2 are going to be in like 49 of 50 states easily every day, every liquor store.
Exactly. So the barrel pick is Hard Truth Distilling Sweet Mash Rye. Even if you don't get the barrel pick of it, if you get just a normal one, they're still not the most distributed in the world. So it can be a little hard. Angel's Envy, Rye. For some folks, it's hard to find. Knob Creek and Johnny Walker Black. Everybody should be able to get their hands on it. Very standard. You could probably get it at a bar around you.
Yeah.
So that's the hope, at least.
I mean, Johnny Black is usually at every bar I can think of, even like trashy college bars.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually I did a list of bar whiskeys and Johnny Black. I had red and I was like, if they have black, pay the extra money for black. It's worth it. So let's start with Knob Creek because that's, I think, the least unique, I would say. It just tastes like a bourbon. And I want to get more and more unique so that our palates are not wrecked by it. And I'm just going to do tiny little bits. Otherwise, we're accidentally going to be trashed.
Yeah.
Nothing but cookies to sustain us.
I said. Little sobering sugar cookie.
Yeah, for sure. That'll help. But yeah, like I said, if you're like, I think I've drank enough of this to talk about it, you can just leave it in the glass. That's not a big deal. You're not going to offend me. So here's what I'm proposing, how I'm proposing we do this. We're going to take a sip of the whiskey. It's going to burn really bad. Take a second sip of it, whatever. We're going to guess what cookie's going to go the best with it so that we don't have to eat like 17 cookies each. That's why I just did this.
These are the same, right? I know they look
Yes.
the same. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to one's cinnamon and one's normal or something.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we got in front of us is 2 gingerbread cookies and 2 shortbread, I think they're technically called, cookies that are just like, they came in the same pack. They're different colors, but the same flavor.
Okay.
They're just like ironically, we're not drinking any Irish whiskey, but this is what Irish whiskey reminds me of a lot. So maybe we'll bust out Irish whiskey. I don't know.
Thinking a little Redbreast.
Oh, we could replace one of these with Redbreast. So
Very familiar smell.
yeah, very standard bourbon smell. This is the Knob Creek for those listening. Man, that's good.
It is so good.
I actually, fun fact, I haven't had a bottle of this ever. I had one of the half bottles, and I liked it.
Oh, really? You haven't had a whole bottle?
No, and I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is great. And
I think
then
I have one at home.
Do you really?
Yeah, I don't reach for it first a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have your last barrel pick,
Yeah.
like 20 bottles of scotch.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and
know.
your Four Roses you said as well.
yeah, well, that's
so-
always on the counter.
Yeah.
That's my counter whiskey.
Right.
Because, you're cooking a steak, you want some Four Roses.
Absolutely, dude. What goes better with steak than bourbon? Have you seen my video about that? It was a little spoof.
The upfront, like, creamy taste of Knob Creek is really good, though.
Definitely. Like a white sugar,
Yeah.
very... Then you get that oak. For me, it always reminded me of cinnamon a little bit.
But for like 0.2 seconds, it's almost like Bailey's.
I can see, yes, very... Creamy is probably the only good word for that I can think of. Yeah.
Like, it's like drinking straight up coffee creamer with liquor poured in it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I remember when I got this, it was when I was drinking a lot of like 80 and 90 proof, and Knob Creek's 100 proof. And I was like, this is like high proof, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, and that was when I was very inexperienced. So it really, and I realized I don't think it's ever been on the podcast. So
This and Wild Turkey, I'd feel like, is a good priced one to jump into high proofs.
that's a good idea. Yeah. Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah.
Very good. And then the rare breed being barrel proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little, I was thinking entry level pricing here.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
So I think
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
this, what are we calling this one? Should we assign
Let's
names?
call it red shortbread, green shortbread,
Okay.
and gingerbread.
I think
people.
red shortbread is with the icing and the I think it's going to be too much
Okay. Too
to
sweet.
go with the creaminess that you get from that. But it also might be the best because you start creamy and then go straight to the heat.
Mhm.
And then you bring the creamy back while you're drinking it.
Cookies and milk, man. Cookies
It's
and
like
milk.
cookies and milk.
Okay. Okay. Good question. So I think you're thinking gingerbread man then.
I'm thinking gingerbread man.
Okay. So I'm thinking we go with a gingerbread man's leg first.
Okay. Has to be a leg.
It has to be the leg specifically because I don't know. That's what I saw in front of me. We see how that does. And then based on that, we'll know whether or not it's worth trying a shortbread.
Good idea.
All right, let's do this thing. Between the ginger of the bread man and and the cinnamon, I'm wondering what's going to happen here.
I actually think those go together pretty well.
You think so? I think it makes the finish of the Knob Creek nice.
Yeah.
When it first hit my tongue, it was like nail polish remover for a split second. I was like, oh my gosh.
But to me, this one always is kind of, once the cream fades, it always kind of is like that.
That's fair. I mean, it is, I think, a $40 bottle. It's nothing crazy.
And 100 proof.
It almost hides the spice of the Knob Creek.
Yeah.
And brings forward more of that sugary creaminess. Because the gingerbread man's
And it's
already
kind of a
spicy.
compounding cinnamon taste.
Well, now I'm curious. I do have a sip left. Would a shortbread do the opposite? I'm going to wash out really good with...
Which shortbread should we do?
Great question.
I think you got to go all in with the icing.
Let's just do it. Yeah, if we're doing it, we got to do it. I'm going to break it into like a quarter here.
Whiskey aside, I mean, that's a pretty good cookie.
What I was going to say was like, we should have tried the cookies first. I think maybe the whiskey made the cookie taste really good.
That might be it.
It tasted so like sweet. It almost had like a custardy flavor.
Yeah.
Like I could taste egg in it. Like
Yeah.
eggnog. All right, now let's try
Till
the
we
whiskey.
get salmonella from them.
Yeah. It's very different.
Yeah. I think I like the gingerbread man more. With that.
I think I do too. I think it took all, like not all the sweetness out. It made it a lot harder to get the sweetness
Yeah.
out of the Knob Creek.
I didn't really get any of the upfront creamy taste.
Okay. So when you're at your Christmas party and you got Knob Creek, for those listening, I would go with something a little bit more spicy of a cookie, I think.
Yeah.
Something that's got maybe a snickerdoodle. We didn't have snickerdoodles, but we can't just sit here and eat cookies all night. We could.
Yeah.
We could.
Next week.
Literally,
Off air.
that's going to be next week. So we need to be careful this week. Okay. All right, Knob Creek, I see you. I would say this is fully, there is no backing behind this at all. But let's get some ratings here.
1 through 10?
1 through 10.
Okay.
Not round numbers. We're doing one bite pizza reviews also on my For You page for those wondering. One bite, everybody knows the rules. Let's give ratings for the pairings.
Gingerbread, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
The shortbread, give it a 4.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I think it kind of takes away from this Knob Creek.
Yes. I think here's the thing about the shortbread, but I still think it's worse than the gingerbread. But I think the Knob Creek did make the shortbread taste better. The downside
that's
is
a good point.
The shortbread made the Knob Creek taste bad.
Yeah.
So it's like so for that reason, I'm going to say gingerbread man's like a 6.4 for me. Shortbread, I'm going to go like 5.9. Like it wasn't great, but it was, I think the saving grace was the shortbread tasted pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Might be a little biased, but yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. So, yeah. Okay, 6.4 and 5.9. We're gonna forget all these by the time this is over. 6.4 and 5.9 for the Knob Creek.
I think once the one that tastes good or the best together hits, you're not gonna forget. You might forget what you rated the other ones, but you're not gonna forget that.
Very good point. We won't forget the rankings.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that with the glasses. So
that's a good
is our
idea.
Baseline, and then it'll either be better or worse. The
okay,
closer
this one
to
still
me, the
smells
better.
like Knob Creek, so I'll remember that.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to mention too. Is it did not make the nose any different.
No.
One point that I would give people is
maybe
if it's like a super strong spicy cookie, but spicy cookie. Maybe it would have changed it, but this did not.
Going straight to the Angel.
We're going to the Angels because the barrel pick is a very full-bodied, and I don't want it to overwhelm our palates.
Yeah.
And the Johnny has that smokiness, and I don't want that to overwhelm our palates. So
yeah, I feel like Johnny's kind of a drink ruiner for anything else.
Absolutely.
Once you go to Johnny, it's kind of
any Scotch that has a good amount of peat in it, and Johnny Black just has a little bit, but still. Okay. I'm going to wash my mouth out pretty good here. I left that in a video once, like a blind tasting, because I was just like, just so you know, like, most of the time I spend on these tastings is just swishing water around in my mouth so that I can go back and forth. But I edit all that out, so nobody knows. Oh, my gosh.
You think anyone tries to do it themselves and they don't? Because you edit those out and they're just like, it's weird, I can only taste the first one I drank.
That could very well be. That could be. Have you ever had Angel's Envy Rye?
I have.
Okay.
But I've never owned it. I've gotten it in hotels.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I want to say I had to go to Kentucky and South Carolina for work. And I
Okay.
got it both times.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's actually the first time I got it was at dinner. It's a very...
Is it bad that I got it at breakfast on a work trip?
Not because it's a work trip. You're good to go. Per diem. No, I'm kidding. Ooh. So sweet.
It's
Spicy.
like syrup.
Syrup, molasses.
That's it.
Oh my gosh.
And it's instant. Like
it is.
It is like so deceiving to your taste buds that it feels like it's going down as a thick liquid.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you.
Like it feels like it's slowly slipping down your tongue.
I agree with you. It feels viscous. It is.
Like being a fat us at 8 years old drinking Mrs. Buttersworth out of the fridge or something.
Right, when you'd run out of pancake, and so you just scoop it with your fork and eat the syrup. I didn't do that. I did. I was a chubby child.
No, we were.
Yeah. Seriously though, oh my gosh. So this was on my episode of recommended holiday whiskeys. Is this not like, does this bottle not scream holidays?
It screams Christmas.
Oh
specifically.
my gosh. You're right. Christmas specifically.
Yeah.
The spice, the syrup, the molasses. It tastes like a molasses cookie, kind of.
Yeah. Drinking this at an in-laws on Christmas out of a flask would be superb.
Absolutely. Drinking it with one of these cookies.
Yep.
We got
Okay.
gingerbread.
Should we
We got
flip
shortbread.
back and forth and try one of the shortbreads first this time?
Okay, let's do that.
I do think the shortbread will be better this time.
I agree with you. I expect it to be better. Are we going icing?
Let's go green.
Okay.
Since we skipped Mr. Green last time.
I agree, actually, because I was thinking this is already so sweet. We probably don't want the icing and the sprinkles.
I think the icing, maybe that's the mistake we made before, but the icing, I think, would be too much for one of these. I think you need a smoky one for the icing.
Oh, maybe that Johnny will balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know enough about your barrel picks profile.
Not smoky.
I know it's not smoky, but like I haven't had it, obviously, so...
You're about
I won't speak to it.
I can't wait to get your actual reaction to it. Once again, this cookie tastes great. Good job, Walmart. These are Walmart cookies.
Yeah, they do great. They do great with maple syrup. They do great with cookies.
You remembered. For those who don't know, I was eaten alive on Instagram for using Great Value maple syrup in an old-fashioned one.
Which, says 100% maple syrup on the back.
Well, yes, it is actual maple syrup.
Oh, I almost feel like the nose kind of changed.
Did it?
Could just be me. Definitely could just be me.
I don't think it changed much for me, but I have a very specific opinion about the palate.
Weirdly, I feel like it became less syrupy.
Mm-hmm.
It almost became a little more bland to me.
A little bit more bland, for sure. It took some of the flavor away. It, because of the shortbread's breadiness, it reminded me of pancakes and syrup.
It does a little bit.
I do agree. It almost took the sweetness out of the syrup. It kind of like has the flavors of syrup, but it's more spicy.
I was thinking more like healthy waffles. Like if you get like the super protein waffles or whatever, like Kodiak or something.
Yeah.
It's almost like that where they're so... You can tell they're made with straight up whey protein powder. That there's no sweetness left in your syrup that you put on them.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Here's what I will say. For Angel's Envy Rye, it made it not very sweet. But Angel's Envy Rye is so sweet that I'm wondering if somebody thought it's too sweet or they thought anything else that you eat with a cookie just becomes bland. It almost became more spicy, more enticing.
Oh, it definitely became more spicy.
Yeah. So I could see that being a good combo.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what happens with Mr. Gingerbread Man's right leg.
I know. Well, he's definitely getting right leg amputation.
Yeah. It's gone.
I'm excited for this, now that I tasted him.
You and me both, dude. That is peculiar.
I actually really liked that.
I think I liked it more.
Yeah.
I think it tasted almost just like Angel's Envy Rye. Like, it didn't change very much.
Yeah.
But, which is like something to be said for drinking a whiskey with a dessert.
Mm-hmm.
It maybe became a little bit more spicy, a little bit more enticing, I would say. Good idea. Try back to back, see what the cookie tastes like.
Chewed it on the other side, gave it a balance.
Good idea. The cookie still tastes good.
I really like the combo of the spiciness between the two.
I dig it, and I think it almost made the Angels fruity. I don't know. It's like
I can actually see that now that you said it.
It's wild.
It's like one of those spiced fruitcake kind of things.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I've ever eaten them. I only smelled them, but the brick of cake.
Yes, the brick thing. There's so many like jokes and bad Christmas songs about it. I never actually ate it, but
Agreed.
You smell them when they get them out.
Yes, absolutely.
And like every grandma ever would have one.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's one at my house every year.
Yep. I wonder if that's a Midwestern thing.
That's a good question.
And people listening are going to be like, what the hell is a fruitcake?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just learned that something was a Midwestern thing. I can't remember what it was. But with the shortbread cookie, it was good. With the gingerbread man, I think it is better. I think it's like better than it is without it almost.
Yeah.
Like, that's a mega pairing.
You can tell because I just went for my third piece of cookie with it.
Exactly. That's a solid pairing.
I think any spicy cookie would be so good with this.
Agreed. I'd really like to try. I was actually just talking about these in the last episode because that's what my barrel pick reminds me of. The cookies that have like a darker dough to them, they call them thumbprint cookies, and they have like the jelly in the middle.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Dude, that would be elite, I think, because you'd get a little bit of that fruitiness with it.
Yeah.
I'd love to try that. And they're also, the cookie itself is kind of a spicier flavor. Not spicy, but it's more of a
It's got
heavy.
more like baking spices type thing in it.
Yes, a heavier flavor. Snickerdoodles I'd like to try with this someday. That might be
That would
elite.
be good.
Mm-hmm.
Next year we'll do the same thing and we'll just have like a smorgasbord of cookies.
I'll buy another microphone. We'll have all 4. I mean, it's going to be the Christmas party. That will be
All 4 of
awesome.
our friends.
All 4 of the people we know. No. I think that would be... I think a snickerdoodle with that would be awesome.
That was really good.
That was good. So I'm going to say, I'll say my shortbread rating, but I want to hear your gingerbread rating before I say mine. Shortbread, I'm going to say, I said 6.4 for the first one with the gingerbread man. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say...
You said 5.9. I do remember you've had a 5.9.
5.9 with the shortbread. I'm going to say 6.4 again. So Angels with shortbread, 6.4 it's about in line with Knob Creek and Gingerbread Man, I think. It was good. It wasn't amazing. But I won't say my Gingerbread Man yet. You have to go first.
So I did like the shortbread more with this than I did with Knob.
Yes.
Not better than the gingerbread.
Okay, I was like, what? Okay.
I just took a 180 everywhere. So I gave it a 5 flat last time. Mm-hmm. We'll go 6.5.
Okay.
I didn't think it was bad. Also, I might be biased because I think I like Angel's Envy significantly more.
It's so good.
So it's tough.
So good. Yeah.
It was going to be high.
Yeah.
Like 9 to 9.2 or something.
I'm up there with you because of my experience with eating whiskey with cookies. That's going to be a hard one to beat.
That's going to be... I don't think... Before this whole time, I was like, Johnny is going to be perfect with a cookie. I don't know if anything's going to beat that.
I don't know. Because it still tasted sweet and fruity.
Yeah. It took away nothing from this whiskey.
Exactly.
It tasted the exact same after eating a cookie. And like, if I eat before I never eat anymore before I come do this podcast. Not that I'm on all the time, but I don't eat dinner before I come and do these. Surprisingly, I didn't remember to eat dinner today because I forgot I was coming on the show until 30 minutes before. Because it messes up the way it tastes.
Yeah.
Like, it's harder to pull flavors. Certain foods make it more bland.
Totally.
I've had the same whiskey twice and it's different. That tasted the exact same as I know Angel tastes, as it tasted here today. And then I ate the cookie, still tasted the same.
It did. And to have that and to have it not turn into nail polish remover, when you're eating something as sweet as a cookie, you said, what was it, 9.1?
9.2.
9.2. I'm going to say 8.8. Which is still, okay. I mean, that's incredibly high.
Well, it's tough because you don't want to go too high because then you're going to look like an idiot when you have one that's significantly better and you're like, it's a 9.5.
Exactly. I'm trying to leave the door just cracked open a little bit. We'll see. I think we can go Johnny next because my barrel pick is obviously barrel proof. I think we'll be okay.
I was thinking about that too because I feel like once we go to barrel proof, there's no coming back.
Yeah, if Johnny was like Lafroig, I'd be like, let's do the barrel pick first. But Johnny's not that aggressive.
Johnny's tame.
Very tame, very tame. All right, let's just do a dash of that. Nice. Only spilled a little bit.
Not too shabby.
Not bad. This is a curveball for me. I can't imagine what this is going to be like. I can't even really guess.
I love the nose of Johnny.
Yeah, way sweeter than I thought it was going to be.
I'm very biased to Johnny.
Yeah. We're in your wheelhouse now, because like I barely drink Johnny Walker.
I probably drink Johnny Black. Yeah, more than anything.
Really?
On Earth.
Okay. So this is like your whiskey.
Yeah. This one is in the decanter that's like covered so it doesn't get exposed to any sunlight because I don't want to alter it whatsoever where the Four Roses is just sitting on the counter.
Right. Oh yeah, you have like a bunch of decanters, don't you?
I have a bunch from Wine Savant.
Yeah.
Which
is where mine are from.
Yeah, and I bought them before.
Yeah.
You even were exposed to them, I feel like.
They were.
And I didn't tell anyone where I got them. I just thought they were cool.
Yeah. They were the first people that I felt like, oh my gosh, am I like gaining popularity? Because they reached out to me. They were always really nice to me. Yeah.
They make super cool stuff too.
They do.
Like they're always popping up on Instagram or one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Instagram, I think. Yeah. They're really popular.
The Thor's hammer you have is sick.
It's pretty dope, right? Yeah. They didn't pay for that ad space. That was pro bono. They were just nice to me. I think they have cool stuff.
I love how long I can hold Johnny, like, on the tongue. Mm-hmm. And the creaminess is just always there.
It really is. It's really
slightly
soft.
fruity.
Mm-hmm.
And then the smokiness that just holds forever, like you're eating a campfire.
Malty.
A mild campfire. Like one that's like not smoking everywhere. You're not burning Ohio leaves in the fall.
Right.
Just a mild amount of smoke.
I'm going to be risky this time. And I'm going to say I think shortbread's going to be better.
Oh, I do too.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. So let's start with gingerbread, man, because we said we'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know, because already that smokiness with the gingerbread was kind of nice. That was pretty nice.
That's something I didn't think about when I said the shortbread, is that spice mixed with smokiness inherently is what a lot of whiskeys are going for.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty solid. That was pretty solid.
So in reverse, it was really good.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It changed it a bit.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just my palate. That made it way worse, in my opinion. That
Yeah, it didn't get better. That's for sure.
as soon as it hit my tongue, it was very bitter.
Yes.
Like what's that taste?
But the rest of the flavor profile licked envelopes.
Licked envelope. That's it, dude.
Honestly, it is.
That's what
It's weird because it's super bitter, but I don't even know if it's to the envelope point because the envelope taste is a taste. This is
true.
like bitter and bland.
Just the taste of bitter, the feeling of bitter on your tongue.
But if you're going to just swig down a whole Glencairn and then smash a gingerbread cookie, worth it.
That was fantastic.
Because in reverse, that was really good.
Yeah, and if we like the shortbread cookie, then what you need to do is Johnny, ginger shortbread Johnny. Like, that's the order you got to go in. If you're doing, you got to be strategic with your Christmas cookies.
Okay, I think we have to try the frosted one this time.
Agreed.
Because I think that's going to go well with this.
I did a little Johnny first.
Okay.
To see what it does
I'll do that.
to the cookie.
I almost finished this whole thing of Johnny already because
It was good.
cheers.
Cheers, because I was chewing. And also, if you need a little bit more. I think that tasted pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't think... I should move closer to the mic. I don't think that changed it like the gingerbread cookie did.
Agreed. The gingerbread cookie tasted A1 after
I mean, it
drinking
tasted
the Johnny.
100% better. Mm-hmm. It went from a good gingerbread cookie to a slamming gingerbread cookie.
Agreed.
Already, that's good to me.
Right away.
That's a winner.
Yeah.
It tasted like cool and creamy up front on the tongue instantly. Mm-hmm. Whereas the gingerbread just came in and smacked you like licking envelopes, like you said.
Definitely.
Like bland. Mm-hmm. I thought the spices would get highlighted with the smoke. Didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But that cookie goes really well with this.
Agreed. I think because Johnny's only, like 80-something proof, it's almost not... It doesn't have the biggest body in the world.
Yeah.
The cookie's so mellow and just sweet, it almost gave it body. It almost, like, deepened the flavor a little bit. That was nice.
And
that was
Johnny's
nice.
mildly sweet. Very mild.
Yeah.
And then it gets masked by all the smoke. But
Right.
you had the sweetness on your tongue, added a little bit, and then just had a subtle smoke come in. It was good.
That was solid.
I really liked that.
That's science right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing is science right now.
Testing hypotheses.
Yeah. Literally.
I think I still put the angel gingerbread above it.
Agreed. Firmly agreed. That's actually, I just did that with the glass because...
I'm going to go 8 flat on shortbread.
Okay.
Johnny.
Yeah. I'm going to go... I keep shooting a little bit lower than you, but maybe it's because I'm hearing you and then I'm going lower. I'm going to go 7-7 because I think I had 6-4 for shortbread in Knob Creek. Or no, gingerbread in Knob Creek. And then I had 8-8 for Angel's Envy and gingerbread. Gingerbread was the good one with Angel's Envy. So this is kind of in the middle. For me, this is like the Knob Creek with the shortbread or the gingerbread was like, meh, it's all right. This is like between. This is like, oh, that's good. I would do that. The Angel's Envy is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we found this pairing. You know?
Like I will go out of my way if when I go to my in-laws, my wife's one cousin is really into whiskey. Like had Weller Full Proof last year that he brought for everybody.
Yeah.
And stuff. And he had Angels last year, but he had Weller Full Proof. So like, don't blame me that I didn't touch that.
I don't blame you.
But if I get that, I'm going to go find one of the grandmas that are theirs gingerbread cookies, because that is outstanding.
Dude, if this was homemade cookies, that'd be
that's
an
what
A1.
You know, I was wondering with how good that was with Johnny, like to the point where I would try and get that pairing. It was that good to me.
Yeah.
Not better than the Angels and gingerbread, but you know, I wonder how good it would be with like a frosted sugar cookie.
Oh, that's a good point.
With like the heavy frosting, you know?
the cutout cookies.
Yeah, like cutout cookies.
I was hoping we'd have those for this, but my family hasn't made them yet. So,
Same.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't wait on this episode. I agree. That might be really solid.
And I think it's a proof thing. I think the higher proof we go, the worse that we're going to be with the frosted sweet stuff.
Mm-hmm. That
Which
makes
I
sense.
thought the opposite going in, because I thought it would kind of offset it.
Mm-hmm.
But it more so just doesn't go together.
Yeah, I will say the Angels was kind of unintuitive. It's not that it's very high proof, but I guess it is pretty full-bodied. It's just so sweet. I don't know. We'll have to draw some conclusions at the end.
I think this one will be a good one.
This hasn't been super intuitive. I'm going to give your glass a super quick rinse with this, just so that it doesn't. Which cup is this?
That is Johnny.
Okay, let's
which
not
is
do
probably
Johnny.
a bad. Think knob.
Yeah, this will cover up the knob flavor pretty well. I'm gonna give you a quick rinse because we only had 3 Glencairns. We got 4 whiskeys. So for those listening who can't see what I'm doing, I am rinsing it out with water, dumping the water into a different Glencairn, and then a very small rinse. This is actually a trick that I haven't really mentioned on the podcast. If you can sacrifice a little bit, we're talking like a quarter of an ounce here. Put it in the glass, give it a rinse, then you can dump out just that quarter of an ounce, not the end of the world, and it does help cover the flavor of whatever was in there before. I actually do this, I don't want to say often, but anytime that I need to.
I feel like I'm going from whiskey undergrad to whiskey masters.
Well, when you burn through Glencairns as fast as I do, you don't have much of a choice. All right. That was impressive that I did not spill it just there.
Yeah. The way I watched that, and then you cut it off perfectly.
I'm actually surprisingly bad at pouring whiskey for somebody who drinks as much of it as I do.
And your entire like mantra is the sound of the cork.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think I'd be good at it, but no.
Okay, I'm excited to smell this.
Yeah, this is your first impression.
Oh, that's so good on the nose. It's like fruity.
So fruity.
Yeah, it's like really fruity on the nose.
Yeah. So what I describe this as, I only describe it, that's what's from the Midwest, actually, is what I describe this as. I just learned, I guess it makes sense because it's Amish, but is fry pies. That's what this reminds me of.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to say like turnover, or I'll say like a piece of berry pie.
Yeah, because people aren't going to know what that is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we get from Amish culture that other people don't have, even in Ohio.
Yeah.
Like meeting my wife from the other side of Ohio.
Yeah.
She didn't know what, and most people listening to this that aren't from our little piece of Ohio, trail bologna.
Yeah. I never knew that was local. I learned that like a year and a half ago.
Same.
I was like, what?
When my wife, I was like, what did they have? Summer sausage is a big thing, which,
Yeah.
like, we also have that for people listening. Like, we don't just say, no.
Right.
We have summer sausage, but we have this thing called trail bologna, too.
Yeah, just like different and
Significantly different. It's like not,
yeah.
it's not smoked
No.
like summer sausage.
And they like it looks the same, kind of.
Uncut, yes. For
Uncut,
sure.
but it tastes totally different.
Yeah.
Like it's not even, it doesn't have all the spices mixed into it.
Right.
It's cured meat. I think the thing about trail bologna is that it's made with beef and not pork, if I'm not mistaken. That might be like
I think you're right.
I think.
It's funny, though, because if you look it up, it says Troyer's Trail Bologna.
Yeah.
And that's like the picture on Wikipedia or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is the families here.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's called Trail Bologna because it's from Trail, Ohio.
Yeah.
I did not know. I learned this
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago. That's a plug for Midwestern stuff.
But
We
you would
have
think it would
cool
have made
things.
its way around. I mean, we have that at every family function.
It's everywhere. It's at baseball parties. It used to be like when people would bring a snack for the baseball players at doubleheaders. It was like always
Trail bologna and cheese.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's
Because
so
you could just
embedded.
grab like 6 of them Ritz crackers and just smack it.
Yeah, like I don't think people understand. Like we're talking as normal as Capri Suns. Like
Oh, yeah.
if it's a function with Capri Suns, there's probably trail bologna there too.
Or back in our day, I feel like Capri Sun was less common than the barrel. Not the
Hugs.
barrels. Not the hugs.
Oh, okay.
The ones where you snap the top.
The Kool-Aid ones.
Yeah,
With the,
yeah.
yeah. Those things were cool. Yeah.
Because I remember being a kid at baseball games, and you're out there 9 years old, sweating all day, and your mom gives you pizza in between games, followed by trail bologna, a bunch of cheese, unhealthy crackers, and then you just smack 64 ounces of sugar,
Liquid sugar, baby. Those things are so much sugar. Like, they're supposed to be Kool-Aid, and they are so much better than Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they put in those things.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
And then you go out there and get yelled at by your dad, and they wonder why you did bad.
right.
Every Midwestern kid ever.
You're going through severe carb crash out there. You just
Probably pre-diabetic.
probably you go out there for one inning and you're killer, and then the rest of the game you're like, I want to go to sleep.
And every dad's like, come on, kid, get your head in the game.
Yeah, what are you doing out there? You're falling
Okay,
apart.
I'm excited to try this
Okay,
now.
yes, let's do it.
Oh, I forgot how good it was on the nose after our dad rant. That is like nothing I've ever had before in the entire whiskey world. It literally tastes like I bit an orange peel,
Interesting.
drank it, and then bit an orange.
Okay. Oh, so heavy fruit.
Heavy fruit.
Yeah.
All the way through. And it's like, this might be a terrible explanation for people who know whiskey way better than me, yourself included.
Mm-hmm.
It's weirdly on the tip of my tongue.
Oh.
Like
the
front
flavor.
of the mouth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's almost like I can discern the flavor profile in quadrants of my mouth.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm getting different nuttiness and a little oakiness-ish, but
little
not
bit.
maybe oak
A little bit.
in the back of my mouth and like straight up fruit on my tongue.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn because obviously I'm going to think my barrel pick is fantastic. I picked it with that one dude, Ryan, though. He's got a lot of experience picking barrels too. And it's funny that you say orangey because I've never thought that. And maybe it's just bias now. But now I'm like, I can kind of see specifically orange peel.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not like it biting into an orange. It's like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's like an orange peel.
I can specifically see like the smell when you squeeze an orange peel for like an old fashioned, that smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got this fruitiness. It always reminded me of like a berries or like a dark plum. Now, after your first sip, it's going to change a little bit, and this is where I'm excited to see what you think about the way that it tastes.
Okay.
That's not even part of this experiment, but
that's good whiskey.
right. So I'm excited to see. It reminds me of something that you like, so I'm excited to see if you can taste the similarities.
Okay. Something I like that's non-whiskey related, like a thing I like, you're saying?
A flavor that you like that's not whiskey.
Okay.
It's not there as much right now. Here's what we'll do. Let's keep a little bit towards the end of the episode because it happens as it sits in the glass. The more it gets a little bit of oxygen in it, it develops that flavor. And I'll tell you what it is at the end of the episode.
Do you know what I get almost?
What's that?
Trail mix.
Oh, that's a good one because of the like the bready
The dark
flavor.
raisins mixed with the nutty bread flavor.
Yes.
This literally
Yes.
tastes like trail mix.
The raisins, if you get a bite that has raisins and M&Ms in it,
Yes.
boom.
Yeah, because it's almost like a sweetness like a chocolate mixed with dark fruit.
What a good description. I never thought trail mix.
This is trail mix in a glass.
I settled on fry pie and I was like, I'm good. That's a good
This is
description.
freaking trail mix.
Yeah. But you can see as well the parallels when you say trail mix, like the flavor of I don't even know what the stuff is, those little sticks and stuff in trail mix, how that could be the pie crust.
Oh, yeah, there is
And
that.
then-
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the separation on the tongue. It's almost like when you eat a raisin where it's like it hits like the tip of your tongue and it's kind of like the bitter, dark fruit.
Yeah.
And that's what hits me. And then you have like a little bit of breadiness in the back. And then there's like a candied nut,
Oh, okay.
almost like mixing M&Ms and nuts.
Yeah.
Like the poorly salted nuts you get in cheap trail mix mixed with like smacking you with an M&M to make it taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an interesting perspective. I'm glad I had you try this. And I'm glad you like it too. I mean, you could.
This is really good.
We could turn off the recording and be like, dude, that thing sucked. But
no, this is actually really good.
I'm glad you think that, because I also am like in love with it. I bought myself many bottles of it.
I would too. I mean, it's trail mix.
Yeah.
In a glass. I don't even know. I've said that 12 times, but that's
a solid description though. Let's go with iced.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a bigger piece.
We mentioned it might not go over great with the high proof, but let's just try it. We'll see what happens.
I'm a little worried about how fruitiness will go with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that also might be good.
You never know. I didn't pour myself quite enough, so I'm going to get a little bit more here in a second.
But it's not fruity like Caribbean Reserve or something.
Right.
So, and when I even say orange, that's why I said orange peel. It's like biting an orange peel and then drinking it.
It has that little bit of bite, that little bit of bitterness like an orange peel.
Yeah.
I think it adds some complexity to it, especially as it sits in the glass.
There's a significant transition of flavor.
Yeah.
Like four transitions that are distinct.
I mean,
and it like rotates through my mouth.
I'm obviously biased, but I totally it has just the weirdest body of any whiskey that I've drank. And to be honest with you, like, this is my barrel pick and we're tooting my own horn, whatever. But they're like, my non-barrel pick from them is really good. Like, it's right behind you there. They're just normal sweet mash rye is very good. Very similar reasons. For me, this cranks up the fruitiness, the raisin flavor you mentioned, the plum. My barrel pick cranks those up.
Yeah.
But theirs is already almost equally complex, very good. I think the barrel pick is just everything they do correctly, like times 10. It's just
amplified.
It's very amplified, yeah.
I'll say way better than expected.
Agreed.
I thought for sure iced cookie and a trail mix whiskey were going to be weird. I didn't think bad. I thought it was going to be weird. Mm-hmm. It subtled out the bitterness, almost as if the orange peel went away.
Yeah.
To me. But I still get the raisin on my tongue. Mm-hmm. And I still get the candied nuts.
Yeah.
Mixed with a super sweet cookie.
Yeah.
And I weirdly like it.
Agreed. Weirdly, I thought maybe like the pie crust flavor would go away, but I think they almost played off each other. It weirdly, it kept some of the fruitiness, like the raisin type of fruit that you mentioned. It almost amplified the crust flavor, the pie crust.
This is probably me reaching too hard, but it reminds me of one of those Walmart cookie pizzas.
Oh, okay.
If you sprinkled raisins on it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, like oatmeal raisin cookie? Maybe?
Yes.
Like
an oatmeal raisin cookie with frosting.
Yeah.
That's almost what it is.
Yeah. I'm going to do a little bit more since it's our last one.
And now that I just drank it, I did another piece of the cookie, and that is so what it is. It's like straight up oatmeal raisin.
Baller. It is. And the cookie keeps its sweetness too.
It does.
Another important thing.
Which all the other ones kind of killed the sweetness. Mm-hmm.
Except, and I'll be fair here, Angel's Envy has been fabulous. I'll give Angel's Envy its flowers.
But it was still way better with the gingerbread.
True. I'm excited to see what happens here with the gingerbread. Oatmeal raisin's a solid description. All right.
My thought on the cookie pizza was like the pie crust flavor.
Yeah.
Because the cookie pizza, if I remember it, not that I'm eating these things all the time.
You're like the one that I get every Friday.
Every single Friday. Right before Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It's not really like a good cookie, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a pie crusty, missing a few ingredient cookie with a lot of icing on top of it.
Yeah. It's like the sweetness of the cookie, where you're kind of like, there should be more cookie flavor to this cookie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Very ready for the gingerbread.
Me too. I'm stoked. I got to give Walmart their flowers too. These are good cookies. For the first thing I saw when I walked into the store.
Hey, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
You got that right. All right. I'm so incredibly biased. I'm going to just let you talk.
So the fruit usually hits me up front with this. in my extensive experience of drinking it for 3 minutes. And after the gingerbread, I think the spice hung around long enough that it killed that upfront fruit flavor, and I went straight to the pie crust.
Okay. I can see that.
And then on the back end, it's almost as if I get a creeping through my mouth of candied nuts, dark fruit.
Okay.
And it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's different.
I liked it. I think it gave the barrel pick way more pop. Like a lot more of a spicy pop.
It did.
I don't know how else to
And
put
it's
it.
not usually that spicy from the other sips I had.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like those together.
It's very different. It actually, I mean, it, for better or worse, maybe some people won't like the way it tastes with the gingerbread man. It definitely makes it way different. Like, it tastes different. I'm going to actually eat my second half of my green tree here.
I might do a swig of water and do some green tree and see how we do without icing.
I'm interested to see.
All right, time for some trees. Trees are legal now.
Good point. This won't become a trees podcast. We're sticking with whiskey.
Usually I had an opinion going whiskey to cookie.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the water, this still was in my mouth enough.
Yeah.
That cookie did nothing really different.
It tasted the same as it did before. Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to see what the shortbread no icing is like.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Weirdly still really spicy up front.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that wasn't a spicy cookie.
Yeah. I agree, though.
I kind of like it.
It's different. It's different. I could see, depending on somebody's palate, they'll either like... I'm not leaning into my mic enough. I could see, depending on somebody's palate, they'll either prefer the gingerbread man or the shortbread. They kind of gave two different experiences. They both still have a little bit of spice.
This is the first one, though, I would argue it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Whereas there was a clear winner, and the other one didn't really perform.
Yeah.
For lack of a better description. Like, Angel's Envy, gingerbread, 100%. I can't see anyone thinking, unless you don't like ginger, that the gingerbread wasn't better with that whiskey.
Right. Right.
Johnny, clear winner to me.
Yep.
Which was weird. I expected icing.
Yeah.
Knob Creek, they were a little closer to each other.
Yeah, they were pretty close. I like Knob Creek as a whiskey. I was a little disappointed with the results
pairings.
there. Yeah.
I mean, the gingerbread to me was still better than the iced shortbread with the knob.
Is that the case for all of them? Wait a minute. Angels did better with gingerbread or with shortbread? With
gingerbread.
Gingerbread. And so did... No, Johnny did better with shortbread.
Shortbread.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
This one, I'll be honest, is pretty tough.
This is a tough one. I'm going to say... I don't want to be biased here, so I'm going to be real, okay? This... I think... The barrel pick tasted better with the shortbread than the Angels did, but the Angels tasted better with the gingerbread than the barrel pick did.
Okay.
That's my opinion. So I think so I said, I'll give mine. So, and you're not going to hurt my feelings, but I'll give mine. So the Angels, I said 8-8 with the gingerbread, and I think I said 6-4 again with the shortbread. I think both of the barrel pick ones land between that range. So I think barrel pick with gingerbread for me was like an 8-3, I'm going to say. But barrel pick with shortbread for me was like, this is a tough one. Not insanely more than the Angel's Envy. I'm going to say 6-7. A little bit better.
Okay.
Not crazy.
I'm going to give all three here.
Okay.
Because I think the no icing has a decent difference.
Good point.
I'll start gingerbread.
Okay.
So I gave Angels a 9-2.
Yes.
I'm going to go 7-7 on gingerbread. No icing. I didn't do for Angels, I don't think. If I remember.
Yeah, I don't think we tried it.
I'll go 8 flat.
Okay.
Now I gave gingerbread a 9-2 on Angels.
Yeah.
And I will say the iced shortbread here, I'm going to go like 9-5.
No way.
I think that's really good.
You liked it that. I'm going to try it again now. Now you got
It's
me curious.
really good.
Now I'm curious. Yeah.
The gingerbread almost just changes the fruitiness of this.
Yeah.
Whereas the shortbread, it's like icing, and then on top of the icing, I have a hard dark fruit come in.
Right.
I'm eating pie crust, and then I go right back to the fruit filling in front of it.
Yeah.
And
That's funny.
It's good.
That totally shows the flavor preference there, though. Because for me, the gingerbread man, it brought in like a black pepper that I'm like, that's like exciting. Like, that's something. So, but it's just not my. The shortbread, I totally agree with what you said. It tasted like, but it wasn't my
It's
forte.
not what you. Yeah.
But also, I drink a lot of spicy flavored bourbon. You drink a lot of sweet flavored scotch. It makes sense,
Right.
I'm gonna try the shortbread again.
But to both of our points, this one is the first one that depends on who's drinking it.
In my opinion,
I think we were on the same page with everything else, and we have somewhat different flavor profiles.
Right. The only one that you could make an argument for would be the Angels. I think you could say it could go that way. The other two, the Knob Creek and the Johnny, I would say almost unanimously, people would say the one tastes worse than the other one.
Envelopes.
Envelopes. I do see what you're saying. The raisiny sweetness, almost like a Fig Newton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't kill the icing. It just, you have this subtle sweet icing flavor in your mouth, and then you get hit with like dropping a Fig Newton in there after you bit a piece of cake.
Right. I can see it, dude. I agree. I still would say it because of the spiciness. I like the gingerbread man, but I get where you're coming from.
And after you said it, I do see like that black pepper taste of the gingerbread man that goes with this, and that's pretty good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I request that you rinse your mouth out really well, get the cookies out of there, and then I want you to smell and taste that last sip that you have of the barrel pick.
Okay.
I'm going to brainwash you and tell you what it tastes like, even if you're not tasting it. And because I'm telling you, you'll be like, yeah, it tastes like that, because that's what happens.
Every time.
Every time. Brainwash with whiskey notes.
Can we walk me into this? Like, give me, like, is it a fruit I'm looking for?
So, as it sits, I get more of the dark fruit. What was orange peel really starts to go away, especially as it sits for a while and gets some oxygen.
I do see that.
The lightness goes away. It deepens for me with way more of a plum, a raisin, the center part of the Fig Newton, for sure.
Fig Newton is so accurate.
It is.
Center, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you have to specify center, because the outside is...
What does that even taste like?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. It deepens. There's a little bit of a cocoa, just a touch. But all of that sums up to one specific thing that it reminds me of. And I don't think you'll guess it just because it's such a random thing.
On the nose, now that it's been sitting, I almost get as if you have dark fruit, and then next to it, you had, and this is very random, if you had a freshly made hot chocolate sitting there
Okay.
with a cigar burning next to it.
Cigar is an interesting take.
It's almost like a tobacco-y burn
I could see that
I get, but it's like sweet, like it's got chocolate in it, and that's the closest I can get.
I could see that a little bit. Now try the palate. There it is. Oh yeah. Especially as it sits.
I left it sit on my tongue longer that time.
I don't think I've ever said this specific note. I don't think I've ever said about a whiskey. And when I actually said this note when we were doing the pick, we did the pick with guys from the distillery, and we're on a video call and we're all talking about it. And I was like, they were like, did that change? Because we did 1, 2, 3, 4, and we came back to whatever number this was. And they're like, yeah, that changed. It's got like a deeper fruit to it, that plumminess, that cocoa. You want to know what it reminds me of? Specifically, Cabernet Sauvignon. It reminds me a little bit of a semi-dry, dark red wine.
It does. Now, the only thing is I'm really into...
That's
my
super
wine.
into
like,
wines.
I drink that that wine specifically because I don't like white wines. I don't like light wines.
Yeah.
I don't like Pinots or anything. Cabernet Sauvignon.
Sauvignon, my
Or
bad.
however you say it.
I don't know either.
I think that's how you say it.
I just say cab usually.
Yeah, I say Cab Sauv or something.
Yeah.
But it's a
Hit me
little
with it.
different than my go-to one.
Okay.
Because my go-tos are bitter, bitter dark fruits.
Okay.
So my go-to, I usually have taken pretty frequently. Hard
Okay.
to find. Probably can't find it very often. Maybe if you're out west because it's grown in a tiny vineyard that got hit by a wildfire in California.
Interesting. Okay.
They made a champagne before. They don't now, I don't think, because of the wildfires. But anyway,
Okay.
off my tangent. It's more of a bitter dark fruit.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say this is a bitter dark fruit. It's not a raisin. It's closer to a plum.
And that follows because most of what I would drink would be cheap and made to just taste nice, you know? So you know how when things get cheaper, they get sweeter? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, we've got to cover up that it doesn't taste very good. I think the cab that I've had the most of would be Apothic, which is like
Grapes.
a couple dollars a bottle. Yeah.
I know that it's wine, so yeah, obviously, but it almost
it's-
tastes like they put, off the shelf grape juice in there.
Yeah. So it's got the dry, the fruitiness, the darkness, but it's got the sweetness of like a grape juice.
Yes, but I will say that those cheaper ones, what I don't like is they miss the chocolatey
Ooh.
bitterness that the more expensive ones have. And I don't mean like you gotta go drop $80. Like,
Yeah.
if you get the older Takens, they go up to $60-$70, and that's a once a year kind of wine.
Right.
But the cheaper one is like $26. You can find it here in Ohio,
Yeah.
and that's like once a month.
I gotta try that now. Now you
It's good wine.
we might have to do a wine episode. Just
You should put the
to-
wine next to that one.
That would be interesting.
I have like 6 bottles of this sitting in my wine fridge.
Dude, that would be really interesting to try. Yeah, but maybe cab's too specific. But
No, I see
dark
what you're
red
saying.
Wine,
It just doesn't. It's not as bitter as the ones I like, but it's definitely the same profile as cabs I've had.
yeah, and that's. I mean, I'm okay
I
with
get this
that.
chocolate taste now that I was not getting
Once
when
you
we first poured
hear
it.
it's
I
like
know.
I didn't say chocolate. Ryan did when we were picking this, and I was like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Once you hear it, you're like, oh man, yeah.
And it's not a lot of chocolate tastes I've had in whiskeys are almost baker's chocolate, like 90% dark or whatever you grab off the shelf in the baking aisle. It's almost like a mix between a Hershey's bar, which it's not that,
Yeah.
but it's not super bitter like biting into baking chocolate.
Right. Almost like a Hershey Special Dark. It's like
Yeah, it's almost
barely a dark chocolate.
and it's more of a follow through of the plum than it is its own distinct flavor.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. I'm in love with the barrel pick.
That's really good.
I'll stop tooting that horn, but thank you. I mean,
That's
it's
so good.
To me, it's something I've never tasted before, and that I thought it was so unique.
Very unique. It's like it reminds me of Caribbean Reserve, where it's it's in its own category of the whiskeys in its category.
Yes.
Where I don't know why I say
That's the other thing. Will you believe that's a rye whiskey?
that's what I'm saying. Is it's among ryes. It's in its to me that's not like any other rye.
Dude.
That's why I say Caribbean Reserve because it's a flavored whiskey.
Yeah. Well, it's not actually flavored; it's just the finishing process.
It's a
but
finishing. Yeah.
Very flavorful.
I kind of group it into the flavored whiskeys.
Okay.
But it's in its own category even there.
Yeah.
It's in its own category of whiskeys that have finishes like that. This among ryes,
That's why I try.
it's not like anything else.
I'm like, and I'm not trying to say that as a salesman. It truly, if you gave me this blind, I would have a hard time guessing what it was. I would probably guess a blend of like rye and bourbon, something finished in like a Pinot Noir cask, because it's just got this weird fruitiness. Yeah. To stop tooting that horn though, let's round up. People are getting ready to go to their Christmas parties. They need to know what they're drinking and what cookies they're eating with it. So we should do an order here. Knob Creek's
I think I'll start
last.
with saying if you don't have these, none of these are available.
Yes.
If you have a lower proof, I think a safer general rule of thumb is the lower the proof, the safer you are with icing shortbread type cookies. Mm-hmm. The higher you go, I think the more you should stick to spiced cookies.
Yes, and I think the less spicy it is, also along with the proof, lower proof, less spicy, you can be okay with the shortbread cookies because there's not a lot of spice for the cookie to amplify.
Right.
But as you get into the spicy whiskeys, then the shortbread makes it's so sweet that the whiskey is now black pepper and spice and all that.
And I thought the opposite coming in.
Yes,
I thought the
agreed.
high proof stuff would be a nice offset from the very sweet icing covered.
But they're just fire and gasoline.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. It's like when you you have hot sauce and you think water's going to make it better and it makes it worse. That's what that is.
It's like a grease fire.
Yes. So general rules, I think lower proof, sweeter can actually go with the shortbread cookie, which you would think that'd be too much sweetness, but it's not.
They complement.
They complement each
because
other.
the sweetness of a whiskey, even though we're saying sweetness, it's not. You're not drinking coffee cream or ice cream mix out here.
Yeah.
It's its own sweetness where it's a subtle sweetness with even the sweetest of whiskeys are still this kind of hot spiced taste just being covered with a nice creaminess. Other than Angel's Envy, which tastes like straight up syrup.
That's what I was just going to say. It's this weird standout. And here's what I'll say. I think that's the other thing I've learned is to go with something like cookies or something that has its own flavor like that. You want something unique. Notice the more unique it got, the more we liked it.
Yes.
So the barrel pick's still not as unique as the Angels in my opinion. Well, it's unique for what it is. It doesn't taste like any rye whiskey I've ever had in my life. But it doesn't. The Angels is such a specifically syrupy, molassesy flavor.
Yeah.
That you still get that with the cookies. Kind of like with the barrel pick, it's such a specifically raisiny fig Newton flavor that still comes through. And so I think you want something unique when you're going to eat something sweet that's going to override a lot of the flavors.
Yeah.
You want something unique that will still shine through.
Yeah. Just don't pick something too summer. Definitely avoid like a summer drink. Like,
yeah.
I've said it a million times, but don't go to Caribbean Reserve while you're drinking this and trying to eat a cookie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what might not be good. I think an Irish would be pretty good with cookies.
I think it would too. I wish I would have included one next year.
Next year
we're trying iced sugar cookies.
Yes, cutouts in the Midwest.
Cutout cookies, absolutely.
I said that to somebody from Vegas that I work with, and they didn't know what they were, so I know that's a Midwestern thing.
That's Midwestern as well?
They're just,
that could be.
in the dark about life. They're a pretty healthy person, so they've probably never had a cookie.
Okay. And Irish whiskey. Cutouts and Irish whiskey.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wonder what a green spot tastes like with cookies. Because we all know that's not before anyone thinks I'm bashing green spot, I'm fully aware it could be good if you like that flavor.
If you like it.
But I'm almost thinking that the envelope taste could become more bodied to someone like me who doesn't like that with the cookie.
I could see that. We could try it if you want to try it. If you grab it, I'll rinse out a glass here. What glass am I rinsing? I'll do the same glass again. Just not Johnny.
Yeah, knob it up.
All right. Very quick. Last minute substitution off the bench.
Green spot coming in hot.
Green spot's coming in hot. Oh, I already put the water in there.
Watch me think this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, watch you buy Green Spot for this reason. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Going with cookies.
Cookies, Green Spot. I can see, because Irish whiskey has this shortbread cookie, biscuity type of flavor.
Yeah. And I mean, Redbreast is my gold standard.
I love Redbreast.
As long as I'm breathing, there will be Redbreast in a cabinet somewhere.
True that.
That's in my top 3 ever since that I tried it for the first time on this podcast in episode less than 20.
Oh gosh, early episode.
I know it was less than 20, and I think you dropped a bunch up front if I remember this podcast launching.
Yes, I dropped a handful all at once.
And I know I wasn't in the early ones because you started off with mixed drinks and building the palate. And I was on one of the first early true whiskey episodes.
Yes, the flavor notes list.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I came back and did Redbreast. Mm-hmm. And since that day, there's been Redbreast in a cabinet in my house.
No kidding.
I drove an hour to Avon I think I was still living in Cleveland when you started this podcast.
Yeah, probably.
And I drove to Avon, which was still far from Cleveland, where I lived, because I lived on the other side. But I drove there just because I knew they had Redbreast.
Really? That's awesome. I'm glad you like it that much. I love Redbreast.
You introduced me to that. I like Heaven's Door a lot.
Yes, another good one.
There's a few things you've introduced me to on the show.
Yeah?
That I liked a lot.
Well, that's the beauty of it, is especially in those first episodes, we were trying to cover all the ground so that people who are listening along could try all those things as well.
Right. Well, and I got your email list every week, so.
That's pretty good. I gotta give it to Green Spot. It's not bad. It's just that envelope.
It's very complex.
Yeah.
I just got hit with the envelope.
Right at the end.
It's so much at the end. And do you know people specifically that like that?
Oh, for sure. I get people in my comments that are like...
My brother-in-law really likes the envelope-y whiskeys. I do not.
No, me
As we
neither.
all know, because I destroyed Green Spot on the episode with Bryce.
Right.
I'm very curious about the icing cookie.
Interesting. I guess since we're towards the end of the episode here, I'll just show my hand. I think that tasted like wet cardboard.
That's so accurate. It is wet cardboard to licking an envelope.
It's so enveloping. it cranked it up to 11. I think the spiciness of the gingerbread.
I do too. I think that's what I was curious about most, was if the spiciness would help. It helps a little. Mm-hmm. The envelope taste got weaker.
Yeah. It might be worse in the beginning and better later on.
Yeah.
Like that later, it kind of hits you with a second flavor.
Yeah. Like on the back end. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if it just brought it out more or if the gingerbread cookies are that good and strong. But I didn't get the long-lasting envelope. It's there a little bit. I didn't get the long-lasting envelope flavor. I got the ginger spice come back.
Yeah.
But the envelope's there.
It's there. It's still there, for sure.
It's so good on the nose. After I ate the gingerbread cookie, I nosed it. And Green Spot is actually pretty decent on the nose.
It's very nice. It is.
It just sucks. I wish I liked that flavor, because if you're the envelope person, is this like the whiskey?
Oh, it's gotta be.
I've never had anything with that hard of an envelope finish.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Is there an actual name for this so I can stop saying envelope?
Great question. I think, and I could be totally wrong, American bourbon and sherry. I think it's one of the types of sherry casks is what always gives me that flavor. I don't know which one. I don't think it's PX. I don't know which type of sherry casks this used. Somebody listening probably knows. One of the types of sherry, and it's not all the time. I've had sherried. Redbreast is sherried. It's not all the time, but one of the types gives me this bitter, weird flavor that reminds me of licking an envelope. That's I don't know which type it is.
That's the closest thing you can get to it too. I mean, it is cheap envelope. And the whiskey's not cheap.
No.
It is cheap envelope. You lick your tongue across it and
you're like, oh gosh, yes.
And that's what it is. Now, do you think the people that like this like licking envelopes?
Good question. Maybe they're like, I get a little treat when I send this letter in the mail.
I personally like to send mail. Do you want me to send your mail? They walk into the post office. They're like, hey, have you licked that
You
yet?
need somebody to lick that? Yeah. Something about that flavor. I don't know what it is. I should try the other spots because everybody loves there's green spot, yellow spot, red spot. I should try other ones still. I am not bashing it. So much body, so much flavor, just not my flavor.
The nose is good.
Yeah.
I went to a bar in Cleveland and they had red spot.
Oh, okay.
And I thought about getting it and it was $17.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you know what's
not me.
funny? You know what's funny is because I've learned from the social medias that $17 for a pour everywhere else in the country is like pretty good. I posted something about like an $18 pour and like even Cleveland, you're right. Like Cleveland, that's pricey-ish. Like I think the Angels, I was at a very expensive steakhouse and I got a pour of Angel's Envy Rye, a $100 whiskey. So that should be very expensive. It was $20.
yeah.
And to me, that's like very expensive. People were like, $18. Like I pay $35, $40. I'm like, what?
How much is like a Jack barrel strength?
I don't know. You mean a pour of it?
Yeah. Well, just a bottle even.
Oh, I could find that on OHLQ.
because I just got that at a steakhouse 2 months ago, month and a half ago ish, somewhere around there. It was only like $18.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a steakhouse that's fancy.
Exactly.
Like well over $250 for 2 people kind of place.
I wonder if it's maybe because of the state-controlled liquor that also our bar liquor is cheaper.
Yeah, but I don't think pours are regulated like that.
I wouldn't think that either. Yeah, that's a $66 bottle.
Yeah.
Goes to Jack Daniels. That should be expensive.
Yeah.
It's weird. But we're beating a dead horse here. Because it's fun.
Dead envelope.
Dead envelope. No, I think unique flavor is the name of the game.
Yeah.
I think something weird that stands out. The syrup, the plum, the orange peel, something that's the smoke of the Johnny.
Yeah.
You want something that stands out for sure. That's the moral of the story here. So this, I don't know. This was fun.
That was really fun.
I'm
happy I got to try the barrel pick too, and remember what Angel tastes like.
Yeah, and I also am happy that like it wasn't just like, oh, all of these taste worse with cookies. Like that was a solid chance we're gonna go into this episode and be like, everything's worse when you eat a cookie with it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. I think we actually learned something here.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate. And like I said, there's a good chance that I'm going to run into the situation where I have whiskey available at an in-law event I go to every Christmas, and it'll be good whiskeys.
Yeah.
A lot of options, maybe something I've never had. And there will be cookies there because there's 100 people in my wife's family.
Yeah.
At every event. And so I'll sit in the corner and talk to the cousins and in-laws that I like, and I will eat cookies and drink whiskey.
There you go. And now you know how to. And also I think you'll be good even if you don't have any of these whiskeys, and I think people listening can use that to get their bearings. It helps you kind of have an idea what to look for. Like coming into this episode, I didn't even know what to look for.
Yeah.
Like I thought some will be better than others, but they'll all kind of taste weird.
You did good with this 4.
Thank you. I try to cover a lot of ground.
I mean, the barrel pick had to be there because it's the barrel pick. But those 3, even if we just had those 3 and the barrel pick, didn't exist, that was a good variation to have for cookies.
For sure. Covered a lot of ground, a lot of differences. The Angels, and I have to give Angels Envy right. It's flowers. It was fantastic with it.
That incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that with the gingerbread cookie was so good.
So good. And if I'm leaving this plug in, then as of the airing of this episode, the barrel pick is still available. I will put the link in the show notes for anybody who wants to get their hands on it. That's as of the airing of this, because I realized in the last episode I didn't say that. So if you're listening to it like 6 months from now, it might not be available. But yeah. I think this episode is an excellent example of what we always say. If you want to learn to drink, you got to drink to learn. Thanks for coming on. I hope you had fun.
Hey.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Whiskey Noobs. If you need more Whiskey Noobs content in your life, make sure you check out our Patreon page in the show notes. And if you like the show, please make sure to leave a 5-star rating or review. It only takes a couple of minutes, and they're way more helpful than people realize. If you want to do tastings alongside the show, make sure you join the email list by sending an email to whiskeynoobspodcast@gmail.com with a subject line that says email list. You'll receive monthly emails with a list of the whiskeys that will be featured throughout the month so that you can buy them ahead of time. You can also find more Whiskey Noobs content on Instagram at @whiskey_noobs and on TikTok at Whiskey Noobs Podcast. Once again, thank you guys for listening. The Whiskey Noobs Podcast does not support underage or otherwise irresponsible consumption of alcohol.